The Kev Baker Show. And now, here is your host, Kev Baker.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be out there, be it live on the streams, one of the rebroadcasts, one of any number of means you can listen to the show. A big, huge warm welcome to this, the first broadcast of The Kev Baker Show for the week, right here on your number one network, www.truthfrequencyradio.com. I want to welcome everyone out there in the chat. Tinfoil Man's just posted a cracking picture of a tinfoil hat, and that may well be required tonight, folks, because myself and the guys, we're going to lead you through the news and the woo that you need to know to protect yourself from the New World Order in the hours ahead. So, I mentioned the guys there, and obviously there is no I in Team KBS, and none of this would be possible without these two fine gentlemen. And first of all, I'll come to the whistle man himself. How you doing, Johnny?
Fantastic, Kev. Had a great weekend. Looking forward to the show, and can I just say that the Whistlebot actually started up itself today, Kev. I didn't have to turn it on, so it must be something serious.
Holy moly, this should be something to look forward to, folks. You know, it's not very often we get the Whistlebot actually spontaneously combusting into life, Marty. And talking of busting into life, how are you, big man?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks, Kev. Good to be here. And yeah, nice to see the chat room filling up. All those chatters and people tuning in on the streams across the globe. Good stuff.
Good stuff, man. And you know, Friday night we had a big show over on Freaky Friday. And it isn't the usual kind of Freaky Friday show that we do. And it's proved to be quite controversial. Now, it was quite a heated conversation in the chat room during Freaky Friday. And also, I believe, over on YouTube. And you know, some of the information that was put out on Freaky Friday, I definitely can't say I buy into all of it, especially when it comes to saying things like people who aren't walking the same path as Nathan was suggesting, we're all doomed. I don't think that is correct at all, and I don't really agree with putting out fear. Now, at the same time, I still think that that show on Friday was totally essential to put out for a number of reasons. For a number of people, a number of our listeners, it was very relevant. It was what they wanted to hear and what they needed to hear. Now, for other people who aren't of that religious persuasion, it's a good exercise for us to be able to listen to something that we don't necessarily agree with, but at the same time, it contains vital information on a subject that is quite hot right now. I mean, if nothing else, think of the AI element from this Jade Helm drill coming up. And one last thing before Marty gets into the chat and I get the guys' take on Friday's show. You know, we need to be coming together right now. It's not any use dividing ourselves by one book or another, because that's exactly what the New World Order want us to do. You know, we're all public enemy number one to them. And the more we divide ourselves by books and any other group we put ourselves into, then we're doing their work for them. And one thing that we've all got in common is we've all got a conscience. And if we can live with a clearer conscience as we can, help people around us, be honest, try to do our best, look after our families, and just in general try to be good, then I don't think there's anything in this world or beyond that is ever going to judge us for trying to do our best. With that said, Marty boy, can you take the chat room away?
Well said there, Kev. I couldn't agree with those words more, to be honest. 45 people in the chat room so far over at truthfrequencyradio.com. Thank you very much for tuning in. Your support's appreciated. Big shout out to It To Woo, Agent Smithy, Dartmoor Dog, D Fishtails, Gurgs, Harpic, Inky Stars, Kevin myself, Matt D, Paisley Buddy, Prometheus, Russell Brand, What We Want About, the Tinfoil Man. You can check him out over on YouTube. He's started a YouTube channel up. Plenty of good videos about CERN and stuff. Interesting. Scottish John, Do You Want to Know? Summer, Penelope, Johnny Whistles, Irish Pete, Choice Bro, Angel Whispers, Dr. Blues, Chaotic World, Mystical Fairy, Smug, Alpha Dog, Ozzy and Zach, Icon Reese, Steve, John Tituazia, James Goddard, Stushy, Ted Welsh, Evil 2, Robbie DMC, good to see you, man. Looking forward to Thursday. Nugget, Dan the Man, Wandinator, Who, Sword Handle, Adams Masher, Sidin Beeston, One Samwu, Cave Lady, Rebecca Roth, Bariani, and Space Plankton. So a big warm welcome to all you chatters in the chat room. 50 in there so far. 51 just keeps going up. Sorry if we've missed you. Thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely fantastic to see all of you out there in the chat. And of course, all of you listening live. Thanks so much for helping to grow not only this show, but every other show on this wonderful network as well. Now, Robbie in the chat, he's going to be on Thursday night on Tough Talk Thursday. We've got Rebecca in the chat room as well. And not only is she going to be appearing live on the Kev Baker Show this week with us on Wednesday night, but she is also going to be starting her brand new show, Reality Check, right here on TFR. And that is on Saturday, the 30th of May. And that's at this same time slot of 11 p.m. in the UK, 6 p.m. on the East Coast, and that is 3 p.m. Pacific time. Now, tomorrow night, we are going to have the Divine Feminine herself, the answer to the New World Order. Obviously, that is Nano Night. And on Freaky Friday this week, folks, we are bringing you new information on the topic you are all loving to hear about. That's right, Mr. Tony Patch, Anthony Patch himself. He is coming back and he is going to woo us in all things CERN. Johnny Whistles.
Kev, it's just before you go into everything here, if you could give a shout out for Gatekeeper or us. He sent you a really nice message today, so just to, I don't know, I can't even remember the message, Kev, but I know you posted it to me, and it was just to remember you of that.
Absolutely. We received a really, really nice message today. Another amongst many huge messages of support coming in right now, Marty, telling us to keep doing what we're doing. And gatekeepers are us. I said to him I'd give him a special shout out. But, you know, it gets more and more messages as the weeks goes by, Marty. And, you know, it's really, really terrific. Not just this show right now, but all the shows. We're on fire, man.
Yeah, it really is. I do appreciate all the messages from people. Like you say, sometimes it's hard to get right back to them, but we always try eventually. Just be patient.
Definitely. Now, this weekend, guys, I totally switched off. I was feeling burnout mode. Freaky Friday, there was a lot to digest in that. I had to really, really focus for that full 3 hours. Really wiped me out, guys. And over the weekend, we had a bit of a song contest going on, Marty. And you were telling me that it was much the same that we see in all these other big events. Tell us about the Evil Vision Song Contest.
Yeah, well, that was the dreadful Eurovision Song Contest, which I really don't know why they bother. But yeah, I was actually browsing YouTube and it popped up at the top saying to watch the Eurovision Song Contest live, click here. So I thought, I'll go and have a little look, see if there's any symbolism. And unbehold to me, there was plenty of all-seeing eyes, plenty of CERN symbolism on the stages, all kinds of fiery hell-looking stuff and demonic-looking things during some of the stuff, as it was briefly going through each song and the different countries to vote for and stuff. And I just thought, I wonder if anybody else has documented any of this CERN symbolism within these Eurovision Song Contests. So I had a little look anyway online, and it appears that back in 2013, CERN actually teamed up with the Eurovision Song Contest production company to inspire the next generation of children to become Peter Higgs, or basically just get them into science and, yeah, basically. So I'm not surprised that we've seen this symbolism within the song contest there, but it just makes you wonder.
So hang on, wait a minute, Mark. You're saying we've got CERN symbolism, and like I said, I haven't seen this. I've seen a few of the pictures today, but we had CERN symbolism, and then it turns out that the Mad Hats were actually sponsoring one of the previous Evil Vision song contests.
Yeah, it's actually the European Broadcasting Union, the EBU, that are actually behind the Eurovision Song Contest, and they actually did team up with CERN in Geneva there, so aimed at children, of course.
Woohoo! Through the Stargate with the Eurovision. And you know, I did look at some of the screenshots today, and it struck me right away. There was like the square and compass, the big Masonic sign, the one we've all seen Jay-Z throwing up. And then we had all these lights around the stage, and that had me thinking back to old Daddy Bush's speech about the 1,000 points of light, that Masonic New World Order speech of his. And now when Marty's telling me that people like CERN are sponsoring this thing, why should I be surprised? But you know what gets me, Johnny Whistles? The fact that right now, I mean, Britain, we always do crap in the song contest, but Europe is quite a hot topic for a number of reasons, namely the fact that right now we're looking at getting out of there, getting out of Europe. But I bet you, Johnny, there's more people interested in a crappy song contest version of a European election than there is of any other exit from the real Euro.
Unbelievably, that is true as well, Kev. And the only thing that actually is political about the Eurovision Song Contest is the voting system, because it is all political. Any countries that are fighting against each other won't vote for each other. It's an absolute shambles, Kev. I don't know why it's on TV. I really don't.
I really can't figure it out either. And you know, Marty, I found a brilliant quote today, and it comes from The Guardian, and it says this: just three countries across the whole of Europe gave the UK any points on Saturday. Aside from France, Austria and Germany, every other performer got more points than us. The Latvian woman dressed as a sex aide got more points than us. The Lithuanian incest twins got more points than us. And the Hungarian woman, who had only just realised that war is bad, got more points than us. And then the Swedish man in leather trousers got so many points that he won. A Swedish man in leather trousers beat us, for God's sake. We can't even beat that. This is an abject national failure on every possible level. And it talks about the incest twins in there, Marty. And I never seen it, but I'm gathering and I'm speculating here. We obviously had twins as some double act, and they were getting a bit close and personal on the show. And it wasn't the only kind of strange thing at the show, was it?
Well, no. I was quite shocked to see the woman that was presenting the contest, as it was the famous woman with the man beard. And I say man beard because that's exactly what it is. Wow, is all I can say to that one. It seems to be a little bit of an agenda there with that sort of stuff. But it was Johnny that actually alerted me that was who won it last year. So that just says everything.
Johnny, any comments on that? What's the Whistlebot make of that? Eurovision? I thought you'd be right into that, man.
Oh, Kev, I stopped watching that when I was at 12, I think. Thank God.
I didn't even realise it was still on. But yeah, again, it's just another racket, guys. Because I found out today, I couldn't even believe this, but if you pay enough money, you get through. You don't have to go through the semi-finals section of the Eurovision, and you get put right into the final. So again, all down to the bucks. And with the Swedes winning it, that's not the only story in the news this week that caught my eye to do with Sweden. Because guess what, guys? Planet Earth now has its very own flag. Yep, how New World Order can you get? And I've got this story here which says Earth now has a new flag. Pledging allegiance to the international flag of our planet could become a worldwide practice with this exciting new design for a flag for Earth. A new project by Oscar Penfelt, a graduate to be from Beckham's College in Design in Stockholm, Sweden, sees a new flag for the entire planet emblazoned in scenes around the world and beyond. The minimalist design of the flag shows 7 rings intertwining on a deep sea blue background, forming a flower in the flag's middle. Simple but contemporary, the flag evokes the natural beauty of Earth. I'm going to post that in the chat room, guys. But really, a flag for Earth? Is this some kind of New World Order thing, Marty? Are we really going to have to take some pledge of allegiance not too far down the line to the 7 rings?
Ooh, I hope not, to be honest. What do you think, Johnny? Come on, help me out.
An Earth flag. Do you know what I mean? The first thing I thought of, Kev, when you told me about the Earth flag was, well, is this going to be the New World Order flag that we've all been waiting for, really?
Well, I don't know, but we've got somebody in the chat there saying that it could be Saturn's rings. I'm going to post this image in the chat, guys. You can let me know what you think of it. But yeah, Earth flags. Is this going to be something we see fluttering over the UN building? Will the Pope unveil it when he comes to Congress in September? Who knows? It's definitely something to keep our eye on. And you know, they're even talking about them flying it up on Mars when Elon Musk's Mars One project lands there. Why, if there's nothing else out there? could be that there is something else out there. And when the Pope turns up at Congress, he's going to prepare us for whatever it is. But moving on from that and flying under another flag, the black flag, is this IS mob. Now, I call them a mob because they are absolutely everywhere at the moment in the news, as per usual. And this weekend, we've been told that they've been routing Iraqi troops with few numbers against hundreds of troops, turning up with all their Gucci new weaponry and taking over places. And Johnny Whistles, I believe they've been allegedly carrying out massacres, you were telling me.
Yeah, Kev, there's supposed to have been 400 people killed, a lot of them beheaded as well. And this is I'm not sure if this is a true story, Kev, because there's talk of boots in the ground now. And I don't know if that story just ties in with that. But as I say, because I haven't seen anything yet, so I'm saying it's false just now until I see some evidence.
Well, I'm glad you've brought that up, John. And Marty, another piece of data that fits in with this is the fact that we've got the former head of the army calling on the government to, quote, rethink the previously unthinkable and consider sending ground troops to combat the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. And it says that Lord Dannett, the ex-chief of the General Staff, said he felt airstrikes had failed to stop the advance of the extremist organisation and urged Parliament to debate deploying up to 5,000 infantry soldiers. Now, Marty, he's talking about deploying 5,000 soldiers against guys who are armed with all of ours and the Americans' Gucci new kit. We are arming these IS fighters over there, and just at the weekend, they were actually going into more of these ancient sites, weren't they?
Yeah, and destroying them as well, actually trying to rid all traces of natural history and these shrines and stuff like that. Totally going against, what they're supposed to stand for and the religion and stuff. I think the whole IS thing's a total fraud. I do believe there's obviously guys out there and they've totally lost it. Some of the stuff that they're doing is absolutely horrendous. But again, that's part of the evil programming for the Black Flag Army there. And I really just think that it's all problem, reaction, solution. And I think that that's been the plan all along, to actually bring in ground troops, especially to Syria, to topple Assad. But we won't mention that bit.
No, definitely, Marty. And there's so many levels to this IS. There are maniacs who have gone out there to go and kill. They've got a bloodlust. And when you read some of the stories about how few fighters can actually overpower so many troops at once, albeit mistrained, undertrained Iraqi troops, it really does. I can't disagree with people that say they have got some kind of supernatural force at their side. And that turns back to all the symbols and stuff that you were witnessing during this latest Illuminati ritual that is the Eurovision Song Contest. And with us talking about things like CERN as well, opening up gateways, stuff like that, it really does lead me to believe that it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination that there is something supernatural going on over in that part of the world right now. And while we're dealing with that part of the world right now, Johnny Whistles, you posted a really interesting video on my timeline. And this is from Yemen. Do you want to tell the listeners about that, and then myself, you and Marty can get into it?
Yeah, well, somebody posted it to Kev asking what I thought of it. And it looks like a small mushroom cloud. You could almost say this looked like a nuclear attack of some sort. Real, definitely. But I don't know if it is a nuclear attack, Kev. I know you've got a lot of other ideas about it.
Yeah, I've got multiple ideas, Johnny. I like you, I don't know if it's a nuclear tip, some kind of tactical nuclear strike. It reminds me of two other blasts that we've discussed and we've seen recently. One of them came from Syria, and that was when Israel struck a arms depot, and the other one was from Ukraine when Alex came back on and said that it was some kind of chemical weapons plant or some chemical plant where there had been weapons caches. Now, I'm starting to wonder, Marty, as well as the possibility of maybe some kind of tactical nuke, could we be looking at some kind of new munition that's been tested out that we don't even know about yet?
Well, quite possibly. I know Veterans Today, I'm not really trying to back up them as a totally credible source in their own words, but no disrespect. But they're actually saying that it's some kind of Israeli super tactical nuke that the Saudis have purchased that they're actually using. And if you go back to March and April, you can actually see similar events there in Yemen, allegedly by the Saudis. What appear to be these sort of nuclear explosions, but kind of contained, without all that excess radiation and stuff. So it leads to me to believe that this could be some sort of new technology, possibly, if that's true.
Definite, Martin. When it comes to these nuclear blasts with any kind of radioactive isotope, they all have their individual half-lives. So like Marty says there, it could be something with a very, very minuscule half-life. So when people turn up with Geiger counters, well, it doesn't appear to have been a nuclear blast because there is no radioactive signature. There's definitely something going on there, folks. But Saudi Arabia, do I think they would use a tactical nuke against Yemen? I don't see any tactical advantage in that. I don't. But it's definitely something that we have to keep our eyes on. But guys, when that thing was going up at one point, it looks like a column of flames, and then that looks like the volcanoes, and we briefly mentioned volcanoes the other night. We're going to get into the volcanoes on the other side of the break. But volcanoes, stargates, and that is right at the Gulf of Aden again. And that takes us back, Marty, to CERN, because it was a while ago we had people saying that there was some kind of magnetic vortex opening up in that area. And now here we have Yemen. It is a hot piece of territory right now, quite literally. All the fighting is going on there. We've got navies massing in the Gulf of Aden. And again, we've got this CERN approaching its maximum smashing power. It has the woo detector going off in me, Marty boy.
Oh, it's not surprising, folks, to be honest. There's so many things going on this year and so many dots that you can connect. Whether they should be connected or not, it's another story. It depends on the research. But, I'm just seeing 2015 as one of those years where anything could happen, but hopefully not.
Definitely. And, Johnny Whistles, you are going to be updating us about the Earth changes on the other side of the break. But any other thoughts about IS, anything like that?
IS, Kev.
You worried, John, because we're told they're coming to get us, man.
Well, I just can't see them appearing anywhere in British soil or American soil. I think it's just all, again, the terror. Keep that in your mind.
And if we keep going with these pesky conspiracy theories, if the latest Islamic State magazine called The Beak is anything to go by, then they won't have any fighters left anyway. Because in a section which they titled Conspiracy Theory Sin, the piece implies that some fighters have grown disillusional because of conjectures that say that IS is a puppet in the hands of Western intelligence agencies. That's right, guys. All the people out there, Marty, some of the fighters must be listening to shows like this and thinking to themselves, you know what? Where is all these new uniforms coming from? Where do we get all these Toyota trucks from? Could it be we're working for the great Satan and they're actually seeing right through the game, Marty?
That's absolutely amazing, and a big bravo to alternative media if that is the case, because it's the truth. It's plain and simple.
And when you actually see this publication, Marty, it reads like something out of the mainstream because they paint us conspiracy theorists as a pretty lunatic mob. It says here, according to these theorists, almost all the events of the world are somehow linked back to the Kafur, the intelligence agencies, research, technology, and co-conspirators. Conspiracy theories have therefore become an excuse to abandon jihad.
Don't worry, they'll soon have them in the de-radicalisation camps.
Oh, don't speak that too loudly over here, Marty. They really will be coming for us. A quick bit of news for people in the UK. This is a bit of good news for a change. And that is, it's been reported on, dare I say it, the BBC, that guess what, guys? All of these CCTV cameras around about us, they ain't been watched. That's right. Councils, because they're hard up for cash, yeah, right. one of the first things that they're sacrificing, Marty, is the fact that they're not putting people in to watch the CCTV cameras around us. And it says here that Tony Porter, the surveillance camera commissioner, said switched off cameras would make it harder for the police to detect crime. Well, I just say switch them all off, mate.
Ooh, yeah. I really do agree with you there. However, there is some scumbags out there in society that do need locking up from time to time, and unless you're He-Man, you can't really take them all on. But I can understand why they're there and why people feel safe, sort of thing. But we all know the real agendas behind the 1984 agenda.
We all know, Marty. We all know. We're watching the Watchers. We'll make sure they're doing their job. Not switch the cameras off. But no, Marty makes a good point. Some of these cameras are all right. Not when they're all turned in on us and treating us like suspects. So join us after the break when we're going to be having Earth changes and, dare I say it, the whistle bot. Stay tuned, folks.
This is the Kev Baker Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second half of the broadcast with me, Kev Baker, and my two co-hosts. I've got Big Marty and Johnny Whistles. Before the break, I was saying how Johnny was going to bring us up to date with some Earth changes news. And Johnny, this kind of stuff, it seems to be picking up every single day. What's been going on, man?
Well, Kev, volcanoes going all over the world, as you know. There was one that has started in Japan, which the last time it was 800 years ago, Kev, that this thing erupted, and there's steam plumes coming out of it, and I'm sure you've saw the videos as well. And that thing looks as if it's ready to blow any time, Kev. It just, the amount of steam and the amount of different places it's coming out of is incredible.
Definitely, John. And before I go back to you, everyone out there, myself, Marty, and Johnny got this from the same YouTuber. It was Dutch Since. If you've not subscribed to him, if you've not heard of him, where have you been hiding? But for all this kind of stuff, he's really on the ball, guys, isn't he? He's up to date, very, very current, and he knows his stuff when it comes to this. But Johnny, this isn't the only volcano that's starting to show signs of activity right now, is it?
No, Kev, there's actually lava spewing out of the Wolf volcano in the Galapagos Islands. Now, Kev, you know what kind of ecosystem that place has got? It's 1 in a million. Do you know what I mean? There's things on that island that you can't get anywhere else in the world, like the pink iguanas and things. Do you know what I mean? The only place you get them is in the Galapagos Islands. And I'm just hoping that this volcano isn't going to be any major threat to the ecosystem, because it looked quite bad.
Yeah, I'm glad you says that, John, because it's something I hadn't actually considered. And one of these new islands that's popped up off the coast of Japan, what they're actually doing is, it's been there a few years now, guys, and what they're saying is it's like some kind of evolutionary heaven for biologists, because what's happening now and over time is we're going to have birds dropping their stuff there, and then we'll have the start of beginnings of soil and life. And what they're going to do is they're actually going to measure how life takes hold on one of these new islands formed by one of these volcanoes that's going off or gone off just recently. But we've got all the over 40 volcanoes going off right now, most of them around this ring of fire. Marty, you're an Earth Changes guy. You gave me a link to a really, really brilliant site the other night. I'd love if you could actually give that out to the listeners as well. But what's your take on this? Well, firstly, the 800-year-old one, and then just everything else, because we're seeing earthquake after earthquake right now, above 4.
Yeah, there does seem to be a lot of activity at the moment. I think Dutch was actually showing one in Japan there, just off the coast, that was steaming all of a sudden. And then he's talking about the land's actually been rising, since the big quake there and stuff. And we actually covered it last month, I think, didn't we? About it rised 1,000 foot or something out of the ocean, just appeared. Kind of fascinating stuff, really, with this whole Earth changes thing. But I don't know. Part of me still thinks that the sun's got a lot to do with it. You look at some of these filaments that have been coming off the sun in recent months and stuff, and you actually see the magnitude of them and stuff. I don't know, man. That energy's got to go somewhere. and then we hear about how the neutrinos and stuff build up in the Earth's core, and we get shifting because of that and the tectonic plates and stuff. So, yeah, I do think that's partly behind it, but of course I've got the manipulation tools going on as well, so hard to know what's behind what. I just think it's all part of the same sort of thing. Whether that means we're in for some major event or not, I don't really know. I wouldn't like to speculate on that because I have seen these sorts of events over the years where there does seem to be a rapid increase of volcanic activity and earthquakes, and then it just seems to quieten down again. So I don't know if this is part of a slow, natural cycle, and we're only just picking up on it now because of technology and social media and being able to share things so rapidly, or is this really some sort of big shift? It's just speculation.
No, I think it is speculation, Marty, but I think you make a really good point there, because if the magnetic fields, which we were told were already messed up with and weakening, a few years ago they were telling us that, and like you say, you've got these CMEs, solar flares, things like that coming in. And I think it was either Dutch Synths or BP Earthwatch or one of these big YouTube channels I was watching, and they were explaining that it doesn't even have to be these earthbound ones now. Even just a glancing blow, and we can see an uptick of actual earthquake activity on the map. Is that right, Marty?
Yeah, absolutely. I did see some of BP's stuff actually over the weekend, and I don't agree with all of it, like the Planet X sort of stuff and Nibiru. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I just don't agree with some of the failed dates in the past that haven't come to show and stuff like that. But anyway, he still does some great research on CERN and the sun and stuff like that, and he was actually explaining how CERN, with it obviously being this big electromagnetic field, does actually interfere with Earth's field. And then if there's a big filament coming off the sun, hey presto, it can be like amplified.
Definitely. And it was last week we were reporting how the first major collisions at CERN were taking place. And I do believe that when you turn a magnet on with that power, that it is going to have some kind of consequences on the planet. We are going to see symptoms, i.e., Johnny, volcanoes. Is there anything else going on the planet right now that could be symptomatic of CERN causing problems at the core or below?
Well, Kev, I think the core, we must have some sort of effect on the core, and especially with that thing so far underground as well.
I definitely think so as well, John. However, there's one thing when it comes to CERN that I have to clear up, because last week we were kind of highlighting the fact that a test collision is surely the same as a real collision, because it's not as if you can line the protons up and tell them, hey guys, get your crash helmets on, this is only a test. But Anthony Patch, who is going to be coming back on this Friday, he's cleared it up. And what he has said is, and this is his own words, it says, this was from when they were conducting the test streams last week, guys. He said that today was only a test and a time of adjustment for the collimators and associated equipment. Next week, 13 tera electron volts in a sustained manner will result from a continuous crossing of the streams. Now that's this week, guys. And it says, basically, the tests were just a short duration, calibrating the collimators, which serve to narrow the particle streams, or the beams, and these are comprised of bunches of protons that are 25 nanoseconds apart. These are not only the highest energies yet produced within the LHC, but also the densest quantities of protons contained during these multiple collisions. So we were seeing 13 tera electron volts, albeit for a short time. Now he goes on to say that protons circulate in the different pipes in different directions. Now each within individual pipes, and what happens is, at the location of a detector, a magnetic steering device moves these beams into a crossing point. So if you picture the red and blue beams that we see on the CERN maps, what they do is they're steered and they cross. And then what happens is they collide within a magnetic core of the detector. Now the difference between what's happening now and what will happen in September, along with all the other woo that's coming in September, is the fact that it isn't going to be protons that are smashing. No, they're stepping it up a gear. They're going to be using ions of lead. Now, these are heavier mass particles, and that is why we will see a jump to the 14 tera electron volts. So this was a test last week. This week we're going to get more continuous crossing of the beams of protons. However, Tony says that the real shenanigans will get underway when it's September, when it's the heavier masses of particles that are being bunched together at even quicker rates and smashing and smashing and smashing. And that is the difference, Johnny, after us kind of making some fun out of the test collisions.
That's right, Kev, because I was wondering myself at the time, what is the difference really between a test and a real run? But, I mean, if these are going to be firing ions, then that's a totally different thing altogether.
It definitely isn't. The energy's released, Marty. That's where the fun and games begin. And I have taken us to the woo. And Marty, you can take us even deeper into the woo, man.
Yeah, I certainly can.
Certainly can, or certainly?
Certainly. I'm going to play this little trailer first, then we can get right into it.
Oh my god, I can't believe we're really going!
What's up, September again? How's he doing? What?
We've now reached our destination.
Welcome to Jerusalem.
A church next to a synagogue, next to a temple, all stuck together.
Look where we are! It's insane! The city is awesome!
If you don't believe in God, you came to the wrong city.
Yom Kippur, Judgment Day. It's not the skies that's opening up tonight. It's the ground.
It's religious bullshit.
They're closing the gates. They're not letting anybody out of the city. Come on, come on, come on! Oh my god!
This is going to be the best vacation ever.
Yeah, so there you have it, folks. What you actually heard there was a trailer for a new horror film set in Israel called Jerusalem. Yes, you replaced the S with the Z there. And what this actually depicts is an end times event actually taking place, as the guy says there, on Yom Kippur, which this year is the 22nd of September. But, yeah, no coincidence. But what it actually says that in the trailer there, that it says in the Talmud that there is actually 3 gates to hell. It says that one's in the ocean, one's in the desert, and one's in Jerusalem. And it's actually talking about some beast coming out of the pit, and you actually see all kinds of demonic entities roaming around the streets of Israel, attacking people, and all kinds of chaos. So no coincidence there with the CERN stuff. And it was actually Round Saturn's Eye over on YouTube that actually did a great analysis of breaking this down. And right at the beginning of the video, you can actually see a woman coming out of a gate. We actually hear a car horn beep, and then she comes out of the gate, and then in the next scene, she's on a plane. So, yeah, the horn thing coming through the gate and then traveling through the plane. That was a great analysis anyway, but check that out, folks.
Absolutely fantastic, Martin. You're talking there about 3 gates to hell. That makes me think of CERN's actual symbol with the 666, and you have the 3 circles on there looped around one another. You know, you look at that world flag, and that's 7 circles all intertwined. And that takes us back to these 7 interdimensional beings that are held in the cube on Saturn. And there was cube symbology at the Eurovision. And that is the one and only Whistlebot.
Kev, I thought it would come through. Oh no, Kev. Oh God. Kev, we're going to have an asteroid smash into the Earth.
What?
When?
Yeah.
When, Whistlebot?
Now, I've been asking it for dates, okay? It says it won't give me the actual date, but it's giving me clues, Kev. It says that this thing is going to take out the dinosaurs.
Oh, I think it's
We're in trouble, man. We're in trouble, Kev.
Oh, you need to tune your whistlebot, Johnny.
Yeah, I think that's actually on another dimension right now, another time frame.
Johnny, if you switch timelines, is it Bernstein or Bernstein Bears where you are?
Oh, it's definitely Bernstein.
You know, he might actually be forward in time. Because let's face it, folks, with the GM, the genetic tinkering that's going on when you're having chickens with dinosaur faces and they're bringing up the woolly mammoth, Marty, he might have slipped through CERN and he's giving us messages from the future. And here we are laughing because we think it's from the past.
That's a really good point, you know, because there is a lot of talk about bringing dinosaurs back to life. Oh, wait a minute, was that a movie?
Well, Marty, here's one for you. I had Klaus Donner one night. I'd done a pre-recorded interview with him. We all listened to that. And he was talking about how there was a dinosaur's footprint, and then right beside it, there was a man's footprint. And this dated back millions of years. What's happening there, Marty?
I don't know, folks. I mean, from the sort of stuff that I've seen, I don't know how true it is, but it appears to me that man was around when the dinosaurs were. And for some reason, it all gets spun as a separate time period. Maybe they were here, I don't know. But from what I've seen and what you were mentioning there, it does appear that they were coexisted at the same time, especially when you look at ancient mythology and all the talk of dragons and stuff like that. Can't be a coincidence.
They should just genetically modify one and call it the Cernosaurus. And you know, the wonderful Rebecca Roth in the chat room, she nails it. She says the CERN bears, folks. That's what we should call it from now on, because that is definitely some kind of evidence of some kind of temporal woo that I can't even put into words. I seen Chris Geo posting about it on Facebook the other day. He suggests it's a evidence of a timeline shift. And you know, I can't actually disagree with that. And Chris talks of buildings that he knows were there one point, gone the next. Other buildings that pop up overnight. And it just seems to me, the further we get into this crazy future that is unfolding all around us, Whistles, all of this stuff that seems quirky and strange, it's going to become the norm. And I mean, we were even talking about these volcanoes earlier, and Marty was posting a face that we just looked at for the first time in the volcano plume. What's that all about?
I'm not sure, Kev, but the faces seem to be turning up all over the place when you look. Maybe some of BP Earthwatch's videos when they're smashing these protons together. Kev, I know that it sounds silly, okay, but when I looked at this thing, one of the bits that I paused it on, it actually had a face in a body. Now, I don't know, is my mind just making this thing up, or is it really there? I don't know.
You know, John, you come up with a good point there. And I think it's very like when people look at clouds, Marty. Me and you could look at exactly the same cloud, but because our minds are decoding that thing differently, I might see an elephant and you might see something else. Do you think that's what we're seeing here? Or could it be that the dimensions are merging and we are literally seeing the demonic forces that they are trying to usher forward?
Yeah, quite possible, Kev, but it seems to be a phenomenon that's gone on for such a long time. To be honest, the first time I seen this, you know, faces in smoke and clouds and stuff, was actually the events of 9/11. You know, as the towers were going down and the plumes came up, there was some, sure enough, demonic and terrified-looking faces coming out of there. And it just makes you think, is there some sort of paranormal, supernatural aspect to this that, you know, because of death that would have took place at that time and stuff? I'm not too sure, but the thing with the volcanoes is kind of freaky. This thing looks like some kind of female demon that you've seen in the Chile volcano last month. And there was also a radar satellite picture from NOAA or one of the, you know, agencies out there, and it actually picked up what appeared to be the same face, but from an overhead view. So, kind of freaky.
And you know, 9/11, definitely, if you look at 9/11, it's so multi-layered. One aspect definitely was the satanic ritual blood sacrifice with thousands of people perishing that day. And it wouldn't surprise me that if there was some kind of demonic force out there, it certainly would have been encircling that location on the planet that day. Can it manifest in the smoke? Who knows, guys? Who knows? But, you know, I forgot what I was actually going there, Johnny Whistles, but I remember that face that Marty was actually on about. And that's, you do see this a lot. And do you think it maybe is just people, once they're told what it is, your mind puts two and two together and comes up with it? Or are we, like I'm saying, are we seeing the evil in this dimension?
To be honest with you, Kev, I'm not really sure, but I wouldn't rule out any of them, to be honest with you, because some of the things that we've learned over the years, Kev, it makes us look at things differently. And even if it's a face in a cloud, then you've still got to have a look at it and see what it is, really. So,
and
I don't know, mate. It's just, it's weird.
And of course, Johnny, talking 9/11, we have the 9/11 lady in the chat. Marty, Wednesday night, we're going to be joined by Rebecca Roth again. And that's one I'm definitely looking forward to. And are you looking forward to her having her own show right here on TFR, man?
Oh, yeah, I think that's such great news. Absolutely fantastic. And Rebecca does some great work. You guys, I'm sure most of you out there know who she is by now. But if not, go and check out Rebecca Roth over on Amazon. Methodical Illusion, Kev, is that right?
Bang on, Marty, bang on. And I have lost Anne to that book now. She is deep into the book, but like me, she works, so she doesn't get too often to read it. But she's absolutely loving that. And again, Anne knows what happened at 9/11. She knows there's something far wrong with it. But she loves the way that Rebecca has put it across. And that's why I can't speak highly enough of the woman. And I think you should all tune in Wednesday night for what is going to be an absolutely brilliant show. And she's taking time out, guys, from writing a follow-up book to Methodical Illusion to come and join us on the week of her debut show. And I do believe, get this, she's going to have Susan Lindauer on for her debut broadcast. So that is going to be absolutely fantastic, Marty.
Explosive. That's all I could say. I do not want to miss that.
Definitely. The New World Order might as well down tools on Saturday come 11 p.m. in the UK, 6 p.m. on the East Coast, and 3 p.m. on the West Coast. Johnny Whistles, have you got any more from the Whistlebot, man? Because you were telling me this thing's been on fire over the weekend. What else is happening?
No, the Whistlebot is just actually quieting down now there, Kev. I'm not really sure what's wrong. It's went blue. That means there's nothing happening in the world and nothing is coming up. So everybody have a fantastic night.
Brilliant.
Absolutely unbelievable. What we're going to do, folks, we have got a few minutes left. We're going to touch on some news. Now, over the weekend, we had news coming out in Cleveland that violence had erupted after a police officer was found not guilty over the shooting deaths of an unarmed black man and a woman after a high-speed car chase in 2012. Now, people like Joe and Popeye and a few of the other hosts on here had been warning to keep your eyes on Cleveland for results in this case coming out. And it just strikes me how this happened in 2012, and now it's come out just at the same time as all these other cases in the likes of Ferguson and Baltimore. And Marty, it just seems to me that this is going to add more fuel to the fire that is burning in America right now.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't know, I've kind of got to the point now where I'm struggling to actually watch these police brutality cases because, I don't know, it just makes you so annoyed and you just sat behind a screen and I don't know. It is just awful what's going on over there right now. And I just think there needs to be a whole shake-up in not just the police force, but the whole system. Maybe not Obama's approach, but hopefully we can figure something out and put an end to all this nonsensical violence and racism and everything going on within the police force.
Yeah, it's shocking, really. I mean, what happened to these two people? No, surely they didn't deserve a death like that anyway. The cop was actually jumping on top of his vehicle, then on top of the other vehicle, and then 15 shots are fired into the windscreen. Two unarmed men. I'm sorry, but that doesn't compute.
No, it's the way the judge came out, Marty, and said he was only trying to protect himself by jumping onto the bonnet of his own car first, and then the other car. And, excessive force, I don't even think it covers it.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Talking of all this stuff, though, there was a guy over on YouTube, forgive me because I can't remember his name at the moment, but I'll bring it up tomorrow. And what it was is it was showing an old police video from, I don't know, back in the 80s when they actually used to train the police officers and how they actually used to train them to deal with stopping felonies and, suspects and stuff like that, everything down to the weapons and getting them out of the car and everything. And if you watch that now, you could see how it's not being followed whatsoever. And the way it was is not the way it is now.
Well, things are going to change anyway, for the better, because, well, according to Obama, the police force are going to be wearing purple uniforms now, and I think that's to make everybody feel at ease with the police force coming out. They'll still have all their guns and everything, but there'll be a purple uniform.
You are joking me, man.
No, honestly, mate, it's an absolute disgrace. You want to see this?
I mean, it's just representing a gang, basically, out of the police force. So, yeah, let's give them a gang tag, purple. Okay.
Absolutely unbelievable. Listen, guys, we are almost out of time. Coming up after the show, it's going to be Joe Joseph with the Freedom Link. You don't want to miss that. And we are going to be back tomorrow night with the antidote to the New World Order. And that is, of course, Nano Night. Do not miss that. Marty, have you had fun tonight, man?
Yeah, it's been great stuff, guys, and thank you to everyone over in the chat room. Good discussions going on. Not really been able to get involved, but I've been watching.
And Johnny Whistles. The Whistlebot is back. How are you doing, man? Do you enjoy that?
Fantastic, Kev. 84 people in the chat I've got here, so thanks very much, everybody, for taking the time out tonight. Really appreciate it.
And it's appreciated from all of the hosts of all of the shows. You really are the ones out there that are helping to make TFR number one. It's okay us hosts turning up here, but without you listeners out there, not just the chat room. If you haven't been to the chat room, you should come along and try it. Meet like-minded people, but absolutely everyone. The people who come to the website, people who go to YouTube, the archives, wherever. All part of one TFR family. So, stay tuned, and wherever you are, make it TFR.
And then you touch that dial.
Oh yeah. Peace out, folks. Take care. See you tomorrow.